Okay, so in recent days I've made a few videos on Reverse and just kind of what to expect from the game when it launches, and then kind of like having some ideas go around of what they could do post-game with the game after launch. But in these videos I've had a lot of comments saying, you know, what do certain characters do, how do certain characters play. I have not played everyone, I didn't get really a chance to play everyone in the beta, but I do know how 2 of them work quite well and then a 3rd briefly. So what we're going to do today is essentially kind of go over how the game is played, how each character is played in general, and then how specifically the 2 characters I know best play, like, overall. So if this helps anyone, deciding who they want to play when the game comes out, do let me know. And without any further ado, let's just get started with it. Okay, so things to keep in mind is this is technically a hero shooter, and by that kind of term I mean, look at Overwatch, okay? Look at a DPS class on Overwatch. You have a weapon, you have 2 abilities. There isn't an ultimate per se. There technically is, I guess, if you count the bioweapon transformation, but a actual character in general doesn't have an ultimate ability. They just have 2 abilities and a dodge roll. Basically, they all have a dodge roll. A dodge roll in this game is essentially like a Dark Souls type, where you are essentially invulnerable to damage in that roll animation, so it's useful. You have 3 charges total before it has to fully recharge. You can either use all 3 at once for some reason, or, you know, space them out to make sure you have a dodge constantly. So yeah, with the basics of a hero shooter, the kind of idea is to kind of pick a character you want to play most, and learn that character, learn how their weapons work, learn the best opportunities to use their abilities, how to use them to kind of make you perform better, and, you know, just practice with a certain character, maybe 1 or 2. I usually go for like 2 in this type of game to learn the most. And just kind of work with them for a while and then switch when you feel comfortable with the character you can technically, quote, main for the game, and you can kind of bounce around between the others. That's usually what I do in a hero shooter, hero game, and I'm sure other people do the same. But now that's out of the way, there's only going to do quick little extra little tips for the game to kind of help people play a little bit better. Hopefully this helps with some basics to the game when getting started. Okay, so a little heads up for how the game works. Ammo is scattered around the map. This is for your character's special weapon, which we'll get to later. Basically, every character has a primary weapon, and a special weapon doesn't have much ammo in it. This weapon can be refilled by finding ammo crates throughout the map. There is also herbs scattered throughout the map, and, you know, if you're a Resident Evil fan, you know what herbs are. You're dying, you pick a herb up, and it'll heal you. All you do in this game, I believe, is just walk up to it, and as long as you're close enough to it, it'll just activate, and there you go. And then also around the map is special weapons, like for instance in the gameplay right now, Chris just picked up a grenade launcher. There are random weapons like that scattered around the map that are, you know, obviously big damage dealers, and having those is kind of a big deal, so you want to make sure you pay attention for those. Now with this game, the time to kill, at least in the beta, was relatively fast, so obviously, you know, in that regard, headshots are key, so, you know, really be aiming for the head there. Other than that, it's just a case of really kind of whoever pulls the trigger and hits more bullets first. But obviously headshots are key with the fast time to kill game, so make sure you're aiming for headshots as often as possible. Practice with the weapons you have on the character you're playing, you know, get used to the recoil on them, and then headshots should be no problem, excuse me. And then one last thing to kind of keep in mind is the bioweapon system and how that works. Essentially what you're going to be doing is finding these capsules throughout the map. The more you have on you when you die, the better the bioweapon you transform into will be. Now, how to turn in these bioweapons, all you have to do to turn into a bioweapon is get killed. You get killed, you turn into one, and it's that simple. The more capsules you have on death, the better you'll be. So if you have 1, you'll turn into that little, like, rabbit thing that just walked past. Everyone calls those rabbits for some reason. And you have more than that, there's, you know, there's a chance to turn into Jack Baker, the Tyrant, or Nemesis, which, you know, are obviously better than that little rabbit thing. But that's a brief rundown of how the game really works, and now we're going to get into the specifics on the characters that I know the abilities of and how they're really played. So, let's jump into that. Okay, so let's start with Chris. Chris is the Resident Evil 7 model, keep that in mind. I've mentioned this before, but that could potentially mean that him and Jack being in the game could essentially kind of suggest there's a Resident Evil 7 themed map in the game, which would be super duper cool to see. I'm a huge fan of Resident Evil 7, so that'd be really cool. But yeah, Chris's weapons are the Samurai Edge pistol, which is his main weapon, and then his extra weapon is the CQBR, which is an assault rifle. Again, this is something you're going to need to find ammo for, scatter around the map. It's an assault rifle, you know, it's not like the most complicated thing to use in the world. Recoil is not terrible, damage is fairly good, and again, you know, those big time skills that are really good with this gun. And the clip can be quite, the clip is around 30, I believe. I think it is 30, and that's really good for taking down bioweapons. You can get a lot of damage in on those, but again, you know, these are all for the Chris special weapons, so you're going to be looking for ammo around the map to keep that thing filled up. Everyone's main weapon has unlimited ammo, so you don't have to worry about that one. Next up, Chris's first skill, his first active skill, is Joe Baker's Gauntlet. This is the Gauntlet from the end of Zoe DLC for Resident Evil 7. If you haven't played that, I would really recommend you do, and it's super fun. Essentially what it is like a Nintendo Power Glove, but super strong. What that is going to do for you is essentially give you a really powerful punch, you know, Chris Red Bull style, where you punch something and it goes flying to the floor. Super powerful, very, very useful. And then Chris's final ability is essentially like a brief immune period, like any damage that would kill you won't kill you for that certain amount of time. So that's super duper cool, very useful in certain situations, especially when you're running around the corner and a nemesis is in your way, so very cool. And now we'll move on to Claire Redfield. Okay, so the weapons Claire has is the Quick Draw, which is her revolver, and the MQ-11 SMG. SMG, quite a big magazine, obviously a close range-ish weapon, not too bad at medium range, but again, this is the weapon you need to pay attention to the ammo on. Speaking to people who have played the beta as well, Claire's main weapon is pretty good. Like, some of the weapons that people have that are the main weapons aren't as great as others, but Claire's is pretty good, I've heard, most people say. Mainly because it was rate of fire and reload speed and stuff like that. It's super cool, so that's something to keep in mind. Claire's first ability is a Adrenaline Shot. I believe this just recovers a small amount of HP and stamina for your rolls. Not the best thing, but it could be helpful in a little pinch. Like if you're going to die, just pop it if you can, and it might save your life, you know. And having those rolls up, those immune rolls, is very important, especially when you're going against, you know, Jack here, who can just swing at you constantly. Having those rolls around will keep you very, very safe from those big ass scissors he has. And then finally, Claire's second ability is a electric mine. Essentially, you throw it on the ground, and anyone that runs through it will get shocked in place temporarily and take a little bit of damage. It's good to get a few free shots on people who are running away, or, you know, running towards you. Very, very useful. It's quite small, and in some areas it's quite difficult to see, so you could definitely set it up to kind of trap people. So yeah, it's definitely useful. I would say it's useful. Traps in games like this is always cool. It keeps people off edge. Keeps those important lanes kind of more, you know, like condensed. Like it's difficult to lock people down in a certain area, then those traps can be really useful for you. So that's Claire and Chris. I'll briefly now go over Leon. I didn't have any gameplay for Leon, but I can kind of go through what his abilities do and what his weapons are, because he was the other one I managed to play in the beta but didn't really get a chance to make any gameplay for. Okay, so Leon's main weapon is the Matilda, and his second weapon is the shotgun. His first ability gives him dual wield pistols, which is his main weapon, and limited ammo for a brief amount of time. A lot of bullets very quickly, can be beneficial to take it out with just a random small target, or, you know, a small bio weapon like the rabbit thing here. Very useful. And then his second ability is his classic roundhouse kick that you do constantly in Resident Evil 4. We all know how that works. You know, you kick someone in the face and they go falling to the ground. Very, very cool. Very, very iconic, and you know, a good thing for Leon to have, just to kind of bring back the nostalgia from Resident Evil 4. I would love to see a Resident Evil 4 skin for Leon with that ability being able to be used. Now, in terms of everyone else in the game, I believe the ones I did mention were Jill, Hunk, and Ada. I cannot say for sure what they do and what their weapons are. I can say that Ada's main secondary weapon, is a crossbow, which we haven't really seen in the Resident Evil game for a long time. Could be very, very cool to use. Definitely a skill shot weapon, I would say, especially if it's worn and then reload. I believe it's a special weapon as well, so, you know, not having ammo for it all the time is something to keep in mind. So it might be actually a really strong weapon, considering how much ammo you may or may not get with it. So maybe for all you out there that have pretty good aim, she could be, you know, like a main for you. So who knows? I'm sure there's a character that fits everyone's playstyle, and, you know, when launch comes, we'll know for sure, and I can kind of make an individual video on each character and kind of like talk about how they play, how's best to play them, you know, how to use their abilities more efficiently. But until the game launches, which is, again, you know, any day now, I just can't say for sure who's going to do well. And, you know, different maps will obviously be beneficial for different characters, so there's a lot to kind of wait on for when launch does happen. But hey, at the end of the day, the game looks fun, you know, that's what matters. And that's essentially going to do it. Like, that's the brief kind of rundown of how you can really kind of start playing the game and pick these characters I've mentioned, kind of like give you a head start. You know, this is how you play them, this is what weapons they have, and, you know, Chris and Claire is, you know, the icon, or some of the more iconic characters in the series, and, you know, a lot of people love Claire, and she's not really in the games a lot, so having her be able to be played in this game is super cool. But again, thank you for the guy who is, I believe he's a subscriber now, for supplying me with the gameplay of Chris. I appreciate that a lot, and I was really trying to look for some more gameplay for the game, because I didn't have much to say from the beta myself, but yeah, thank you for that, very, very much appreciated. But yeah, I'm going to kind of close this up now. I know it wasn't as much detail as I'd hoped, but again, you know, when the game launches, which is, you know, again, any day now, I kind of anticipate the end of the month, but could be next week, could be the week after that, but I'm kind of certain it'll be around the end of the month time, so, you know, within the next 2 or 3 weeks, you know, we'll all be playing. And kind of like I've said in the previous Reverse videos, which have done massively well, thank you very much for that. I'll be streaming, well, I'll be streaming a lot of this game, you know, along the weekends, and then from day one, I'll be, you know, uploading content as much as possible to get much information, guides, and gameplays out to all of you as best I possibly can. So if you are interested in this game and do want to see, you know, a lot of content about this game when it launches, then do drop a subscribe and turn the notifications for those videos. I'll be streaming this weekend on Saturday and maybe Sunday. Saturday will be Dead by Daylight in the afternoon. Not sure what I'm going to do in that game yet. I might switch it up and play Survivor for a little bit, maybe play Leon or Jill. And then Sunday I might stream Village, just briefly. I need to go through the game again and do a certain challenge on the challenge list. That should be a few hours, that'll be fun. But yeah, thank you for watching. Leave a like if you're very excited for Reverse, like I am, because it's going to be a lot of fun. I can just figure that it's going to be a good game, and hopefully it gets the support it deserves. You know, like I've mentioned in comments, answering some of you below, I feel like, you know, a lot of people bought Village. Village sold very, very well. So, you know, at the end of the day, this game is free with that. So, you know, why not give it a go? And if you don't like it, that's fine. If you do, then, you know, that's great. There's more people playing the game. And, you know, if it comes to it, I don't know if there's crossplay confirmed for this game at launch. It could happen. But, you know, that would obviously beef up the player base as well, because you could play on any platform and you get like the full player base playing with you, which is something, if they haven't considered it already, or, you know, have and just haven't got around to putting in a launch, I hope to see it at some point in the future. But, you know what? I'll just be happy when the game comes out. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow for another video and some streams.